So I've been talking a lot lately about the War of the Worlds, and I've been focusing primarily on the 2005 Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds. And I want to touch today on something that's present in that movie that I think is an interesting reflection of the times, and maybe something that's a little bit of a detriment to the story. The shields the alien war machines have. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So before I begin, I just want to throw out there, I know it's Friday. I would normally be putting out a battle analysis. I actually have some pretty big stuff going on in my personal life right now, and it's nothing bad, don't worry. And I want to be able to focus on that, so I'm going to maybe skip a week or two here of battle analysis, and you'll just get 2 of these regular videos. But battle analysis will return. It's just taking a week or 2 off so I can deal with some real-life things going on. So I've actually talked in the past about the sort of history of the Martian war machine as it was displayed across the different versions of War of the Worlds, but I want to focus today on one of the sort of interesting aspects of that has shifted through time, and that's shields. One of the interesting aspects of the original war machines from the original War of the Worlds and the novel made by H.G. Wells were that they weren't invincible. Wells envisioned an alien invasion that would be fought a lot like a conventional war, with artillery, machine guns, infantry, and cavalry fighting against a nearly unstoppable but not literally unstoppable military force. With the right circumstances in play, the humans could and did successfully take down Martian war machines. Now, the Martians were really good at taking those losses and turning them around and basically still managing to achieve somewhat of a victory, but the humans weren't completely defenseless. And I think that's one of the big aspects of the War of the Worlds. A lot of modern alien invasion fiction seems to focus on humanity's complete helplessness, but in the War of the Worlds it actually was war. The humans were fighting against the aliens, and they stood a chance, at least in some combat situations. Now, this was the case in the rendition of War of the Worlds that was released in 1898, the original novel, and it was present in several other versions that take place around the same time frame, most notably the recent BBC series, which also takes place in the late 1800s, early 1900s. I believe it's specifically 1905 or 1906, but it still shows humanity being able to actively neutralize the war machines under very specific circumstances. However, more modern adaptations of the War of the Worlds, or really any alien invasion fiction, seems to be heavily reliant on the idea that no matter what we do, we can't damage the war machines. It started, at least in my knowledge, with the 1953 George Powell War of the Worlds, where the war machines are displayed having an energy shield. I believe it's described as a blister in the movie, interestingly. But these shields would prevent the war machines from being damaged at all. Now, I think this trend comes from a general rise in the military capability of human nations. In modern combat, we have tanks and attack helicopters and nuclear weapons, and we feasibly could do a lot of damage to an invading force unless they were completely impervious to these kinds of weapons. As such, any depiction of an alien invasion in a post-atomic world seems to feel like they have to present the invaders as something that cannot be defeated by conventional weapons, cannot be touched by conventional weapons. And we see this trend a lot. Hell, the movie Independence Day leans on the humanity winning because they were able to take down those shields. Without those shields, humanity seems to kind of sweep the harvesters aside. Basically, what I'm saying is, while I understand why this trend exists, I think we do lose a little bit by not having our invaders be mortal. I think a great example of a modern alien invasion movie, albeit a very heavily militaristic one, is Battle Los Angeles, because it depicts an alien invasion that is more or less a realistic military invasion. There's some things that are a little bit out there in that movie, and it has to take the liberties it does because our enemies are aliens, but they're not invincible. Our military can fight them. Their war machines are not protected by shields that stop all of our bullets and all of our grenades and all of our bombs. We are just fighting an enemy that is technologically more capable, and thus their fighters are more maneuverable, their weapons do more damage, and their sort of infantry functionality is significantly improved over ours. When you really think about it, no alien invasion movie is going to be that realistic. I think if an alien species really wanted to wipe out humanity, it would be a lot easier than a large ground invasion. It could be done entirely from orbit. It could be done with biological weapons or kinetic strikes or any array of things that could be done and would be preferable over a land invasion. So no alien invasion fiction is going to be realistic in any sense of the word. But I would argue that the ones that tend to be more interesting are the ones that tend to make it not entirely one-sided. The ones where humanity does stand a chance in a conventional military sense, but ultimately is still unable to grab that victory without some major shift in circumstance. Now, that doesn't mean I hate the shields, and I'm not trying to rip on any particular IP, because like I said, a lot of different alien invasion movies and pieces of fiction will sort of lean on the idea of shielded alien spacecraft, and the War of the Worlds from 2005 and Independence Day are some of my favorite pieces of alien invasion fiction, but I think that the shields do sort of degrade the sort of interesting combat that can be presented in a circumstance where one side knows next to nothing about the other and has to adapt to a surprise military invasion. But if you want a really, blatant and obvious example of it, like I said, Independence Day, the 1996 movie, and the invasion of 1996, the War of 1996, when the Harvesters first arrived on Earth. If you'd like to learn more about that war, I'll leave a link up here to my battle analysis, breaking down the strategic picture of the War of 1996. I think it's one of my best videos, and I highly recommend checking it out. And I'd like you to let me know down in the comments what you think of energy shields in an alien invasion movie. Do you think it's a little bit overkill, or do you think it's really the only way it would be believable that we wouldn't just immediately pound an enemy into the dirt with high explosives and, bunker-busting munitions? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in science fiction, you can let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.